Welcome to Business Pants.
Put on your business pants.
Cue the music, Matt. Do we have any music? Cue our theme song. Go!
I haven't figured that part of our studio out yet. We're working on it.
Yeah,
We're just
yeah. I
relax.
put in a request for some to license some music, but you know what the response has been so far? Nothing. Crickets.
Nobody wants their business pants on when it comes to music.
Welcome to Monday, October 14th, where it is Indigenous People Day here in Maine. I don't know about in Connecticut.
In Connecticut, we celebrate Indigenous Oppression Day.
Okay. That is Matt
Similar.
Mascardi over there telling jokes. I'm Damian Rollis. This is Free Float Media's noontime, lunchtime news broadcast. Anything to say, Matt, before I jump into it? We got a
No,
lot
there's so much to
lot in the
cover.
docket
We
today.
got to hit it.
All right, let's start at the top. Let's start it in our new category that we created last week called CEO's Rule. And I think it's good that we created this category because we have a perfect one. And why did we create this category? Because CEOs rule, right?
They rule. Like they're like it's like Ja Rule.
Ja rule. So there's a dirty fisher engaging in locker room talk at a financial conference. That's the headline. And I'm going to let Kenny Boy himself handle the story. This is CEO Ken Fisher of Fisher Investments. It's always a good sign when you name your company after yourself. So this is a direct quote from Mr. Fisher. I should call him Kenny Boy.
Fish.
Kenny Boy Fisher, the fish. This is what he said at a conference last week. Money, sex, those are the two most private things for most people.
Yep.
So when trying to win new clients, you need to be careful, he says. It's like going up to a girl in a bar, going up to a woman in a bar and saying, "Hey, I want to talk about what's in your pants."
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Classic.
That's financial conference.
That's how
Here's
I
another
got
one.
my wife.
Here's another one. At another financial conference. Quote, I don't know if I could, but if I was 30 years old and I had to do it over again, I'd have more sex while I could. When once you get older, you're like a Christmas tree, you're firm once a year and the balls are just for decoration.
So first of all,
Yeah.
the Christmas tree analogy actually didn't land for me, not
Okay.
for the sexism,
Yeah.
but for it's firm once a year.
I guess it means that it must be a tree that I don't
Doesn't
know,
it? I
did
think
they
he
build
meant
the tree?
it's erect once a year in
Yeah.
my house. Like, what
Does
is
he
that? What is that?
maybe he builds a plastic tree and then it usually just flops around in a box? I don't know. And
So,
you know what? You know what? Not only do I not know, I don't really care about Kenny Fisher's erect tree.
well, you
I just
should
don't.
because
Not because I'm Jewish.
Kenny Fisher, you should care,
Yeah.
because a couple of things about this story strike me as interesting. First of all, it struck Michigan, the state of Michigan, as interesting because they immediately pulled $600 million
Yeah.
from Fisher Investments.
You're jumping ahead here, but I'm glad you said that. Yeah, exactly. So I was going to say, who cares? The state of Michigan cares.
They do. They
Yeah.
did very
Because
quickly.
can I just say that initially, amid all the backlash, Kenny Boy Fisher had this to say. I've given a lot of talks, a lot of times, in a lot of places, and said stuff like this, and never gotten that type of response. So he didn't seem to care at first.
Um, Kenny Fisher has written a lot of books. I don't know if I'm in the middle of sort of pop crap finance book readathon, in which I'm
Okay.
reading like Jim Cramer and the Ken Fishers of the world. Not to call their stuff crap, but it's crap.
Yeah.
So
Well, I can see here that James Kramer forwarded a book by Ken Fisher. I can see on your handy slide there.
did indeed a
Yeah.
forward by Jimbo Crames.
Mhm.
Ken Fisher actually wrote two books that I feel like the titles are going to haunt him now forever.
Okay.
One of which was called Three Questions That Count, and the other one's called Markets Never Forget. So I want to ask you three questions that count about Ken Fisher
Okay.
and his sexist
Ready.
comments. Number one,
Yeah.
does I've said this before actually count as a defense?
Um, for me or for Kenny Boy Fisher?
Well, let's say for Ken Fisher.
Yeah, it does. I think it does. He's saying this is the America I love. Sorry, this is how I've conquered the mountain.
I mean, it is an amazing. It's a. I mean, if Donald Sterling had said, "But I've dropped the N word before and no one cared."
Yeah, it's the equivalent of this is locker room talk, so get over it. I mean, this is how we do.
Number two,
Yeah.
will Ken Fisher stay CEO of Fisher Investments? And if he is ousted, do they have to find a CEO with the last name Fisher?
What about, is there a Kenny Jr.? There's got to be a Kenny Jr.
I know he's got kids.
Kenny the Fourth? There's got to be. He seems like a proudly egotistical type, so he's got to be some little Kens running around. I'm going to say he doesn't step down, mostly because he named the company after himself. So I think he was waiting for something like this, knowing that he would just be like, F you.
And last, can I ask a question about? So he said this at the Tiburon conference in San Francisco. It's thrown by some strategic investor thing, and CEOs are invited of all these. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's but they have a no media policy. Basically, it's like Chatham House rules. I've said this in conferences before, in meetings before. Chatham House rules. Now I'm starting to think that no media policy or Chatham House rules might just be designed for white men to say crazy shit that they think. Yes or no?
Yes. Yes. It sounds like China, frankly, right?
So it's China House rules.
Yeah, I mean, we're over here like crying about China telling basketball players not to talk about taking 4-pointers or whatever, but they're doing kind of the same thing, right? Like we're going to get together, we're going to wonder what's in women's pants, and we don't want anyone to talk about it. Right? I want to add a couple things here. I know we're going to run out of time in this category, but first of all, I read that he eventually apologized, right? Good for Kenny Boy.
Yeah, he did.
But he didn't even do it directly. He did it through a statement from his representative. He wasn't even a man enough to do it himself. I just had to say that.
Well, look, apologies are one of the most private things for people. It would be like walking up to a white guy in a bar and saying, "How much do you talk about female genitalia?" It's just private. So
All right, we're over time here, but I do want to add this. I want to talk about Boeing quickly. So in Boeing news, CEO and chair, I say that specifically, CEO and chair Dennis Muhlenberg was finally reprimanded for being at the helm of a company responsible for 2 separate crashes that killed a total of 346 people. It's worth saying. 2 crashes killed 346 people. So you ready for the punishment? Actually, do you want to guess the punishment?
I mean,
what would you think would be appropriate for? I mean, and this has been not only look, 346 people aside, this has been pretty bad for Boeing itself too.
The punishment probably needs to fit the crime, which means he should ride nothing but 737 Max 8s for the rest of his life.
That would be nice punishment. Okay. Well, here's the real answer. Boeing's board removed CEO Dennis Muhlenberg as chairman so he can focus on running the company after the 737 Max crisis.
His problem was he wasn't focused on doing the company's core business, which is keeping people safe as they fly from over here to over there.
Dennis.
Oh.
Okay, let's get out of this category. All right, let's jump into our. We haven't been here in a while. Let's jump into our fabulous and musty world of dystopia. We have a good one for you today, Matt. There's no need to embellish this one, so I'm just going to give it to you straight. Okay, this is this is the story. Facebook CEO Zucky von Zuckerberg said last week, that he's thinking more about brain controlling wearable and implantable technology. Here's the quote. The goal is to eventually make it so that you can think something and control something in virtual or augmented reality.
Okay, so first
This
of
is
all,
so wait, hold on. This is from Facebook. So okay, before you go there, instead of asking you for your thoughts, Matt, I'm just gonna turn on the Brain Suck 8000 that I secretly implanted into your skull the last time I suspiciously mandled your meatless meat at the Tiburon conference. So I'm just gonna look for that. Oh, I can't find it. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
so so is this is sort of the ultimate nerd play. Isn't it, doesn't every nerd want to control women's brains? This is like Ken Fisher only in social media form, isn't it?
Except would you think Ken Fisher thinks that women have brains? Do you think he's gone that far? I think Zuck thinks that, but I don't know about Candy Boy Fisher. That might be a bit of a stretch.
I mean, this is so on the nose in some way. Let's do a recap. So I
Yeah.
put this together just to remind everybody. Um, I wanted to kind of like put together all of the Facebooky things that have happened in the
Okay,
last
good.
little bit,
All
right?
right.
So,
Yeah.
my Facebook recap. Facebook has announced. So basically, Facebook's at the center of election scandals.
Right.
They announced Libra, a currency, which we'll get to in a minute.
Right.
But they want to control elections and your money. They
Yeah.
already own Instagram, so they want to control all your family photos,
Your images. Yeah.
your images, everything. Well, they want to
Your
know everything about your
memories. Your
family
memories.
and
Yeah.
everything you post, your
Right.
FOMO life. Uh,
Yeah.
they own WhatsApp, so they want to know what you're saying to each other, not just
Yeah.
the pictures you take, but they want to know everything you're
Right.
saying to each other. And now, basically, Mark Zuckerberg did what we all knew he was doing, which is come out and say, we also want to control your brain. We're just going to skip all this other stuff, and we just
Yeah.
want to go right to your brain.
I'm applauding him for his honesty, but because I this is what exactly what he wants. I mean,
This is it.
this is the big data grab,
You
right?
cannot possibly say that Mark Zuckerberg is secretly stealing your data anymore when he comes out and says, we
Yeah.
actually want to see what's in your brain.
Yeah, listen to this, Uncle Jeff Bezos. He's trying to get into your brain. What are you guys doing? You're delivering toothbrushes. Come on.
you got you bring me a toothbrush in 12 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
Zuckerberg knows that I'm thinking about a toothbrush.
he isn't planting shit in your brain.
So,
That's
brilliant business model or terribly tone deaf business model? Go.
well, if it's coming from the Zuckster, it's always tone deaf with probably a little bit of brilliance on the side.
It's like 8% brilliant and 92%
Yeah.
tone deaf. Are you long this idea or are you short this idea?
Well, I mean, if it depends on the warship that is Senator Elizabeth Warren. So I don't know.
Let's come
I'm
back to her, but I
yeah.
do want to say there is no way your thoughts aren't a stranded asset at some point.
Look, I don't know that Facebook's going to be the one to pioneer this, but this doesn't surprise me on any level. All right, let's get out of dystopia and let's cheer up the audience a bit and let's head into our wars basket.
Ooh, I
Right.
haven't talked about those since last week.
So basically, we got plenty of updates today. Let's start in China, Hong Kong, where we've got 4 updates on stories that we were tracking last week. First of all, sports agents are warning NBA players to avoid China talk as athletes.
China talk sounds like a racist term.
I just love that. Avoid China talk. Superstar German DJ Zed has been permanently banned from China for liking a South Park tweet. So, do you think we could do the equivalent for the Tiburon conference? Do you think if we liked the tweet from the guy who leaked the audio that we could be banned from Tiburon?
Well, Tiburon did have to come out and say, because if Tiburon said, we have a strict no media policy, this was against our policy, and we are going to no longer allow the person who tweeted that, outed this back at our
Right.
conference. Sort of a tough position. So I do I do feel like, haven't we jumped the shark when people get banned from China for likes?
Well, this is, I mean, I guess, but this is China's doing, right?
Secondary
We're
question:
not
can Mark
jumping the shark.
Zuckerberg
Yeah,
control
yeah.
China's brain?
So you're saying that China has one collective brain? I guess that's the goal, right?
That's it, right?
A
Like,
big,
it's supposed to
a
be
big
the
super
Borg
brain
at
in the
some point.
sky.
It's
Yeah.
just a long tail to the Borg.
I'm going to say that Steve Jobs has a better kind of in on China right now. I think I don't know. I'm going to say
Tim Cook's out there apologizing about the app they pulled from Hong Kong. He's
yeah.
defending it, I should say, not apologizing.
I think that since Steve Jobs' brain is probably living somewhere in the Apple headquarters, probably still making decisions. I'm going to say that they're going to conquer China first.
I have a jar with Steve Jobs' brain on my mantle.
Finally, Blizzard Entertainment has buckled and has reduced the ban and given back prize money to a gamer it punished for backing Hong Kong protests, begging one simple question to our friends at Blizzard. Which side are you on exactly?
No. See, my favorite part about this apology, non-apology, is they reinstate the player halfway. They cut the suspension in half. And then they said it has nothing to do with our business relationship with China either way. It's the most brilliant non-anything.
Good for you, Blizzard. Maybe you should change your name to like a light snow dusting instead of Blizzard. All right, finally, let's go back to GM. We haven't talked about the GM strike in a while. This strike has been on for 25 days and has already cost the company more than $1 billion. And I want to just talk about something very short and simple here. Last week, GM CEO Mary Barra, yeah, you listening, Mary Barra?
Mary.
She met with senior union officials for the first time.
When did you want him to
Last
meet?
week. I'm astounded by this. For the first time, she met with union officials.
See, my takeaway of this whole thing, GM's biggest concession to the workers was $7 billion that they pledged to reinvest in the company.
Mm-hmm.
Let me state that again. Dear worker, we've screwed you for a long time, but this time we'll actually invest in our own company. We swear. Wow. That's our concession.
So what does that mean, invest in the company? Share buybacks?
It's ridiculous.
Remember, shareholders, you are allowed to vote on things like this. You're allowed to vote on Mary Barra at the next annual meeting.
This is true. This is a Business Pants call out to you as a shareholder of GM. Who owns GM? You can vote.
Probably a lot of different people, I'm guessing. Dispersed ownership, as Rick Marshall would say. All right, let's get out of wars and let's go into big data. As a sidebar, I should say that the mainstream news outlets generally refer to companies like this as FANG, right? FANG.
Yep.
But
what's it stand for, Damien? What's it stand for?
FANG is Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google.
That is correct.
Right? So it's FANG. But basically, I find FANG to be essentially meaningless. Why? Who cares? What is the? Is it supposed to mean something?
Yeah, they're just it's a acronym because there's
like a vampire pun
because they're vampirists. No, because there's a strong market consolidation in those three companies or five companies.
But what's the point of the acronym?
The acronym is just so you don't have to say Facebook, Apple, Netflix. Okay.
So it's stupid
Amazon,
and toothless.
Google, every time you want to say big tech companies where there's a market consolidation.
Okay, so pun intended, it is toothless. Okay?
Oh,
God. Sorry. And this is why I'm calling it, instead, I'm going to call these companies what they really are, which are big data farms. Okay? In other words, they are using their bloody fang to suck the data out of you. All right? Sorry.
I'm bored.
I'm losing it. Okay, today in Big Data, there's an article on CNBC saying that the Federal Reserve wants to know, would you give up Google for $17,000 a year as it tries to figure out how much free internet services are worth to the economy. So I have two questions for you, Matt.
Yeah.
What the hell does this mean? Because I don't understand it. And would you give up Google for $17,000 a year?
So first of all, it just sounds like it's like an economist question where they're trying to figure out how to value for either GDP or a
Yeah.
study or something, how to value a service that is
Okay.
intangible.
Sure. Okay.
So,
I still don't really get it, but okay.
so
Why
what's
is
the
this?
value of the
Yeah.
internet? Like, if you had no internet, how much would you be willing to pay for it every single year?
Okay. So this is not an actual offer. I'm
This
not.
is
They're not
not a
gonna.
real offer. This
Shit.
is
Okay.
not Andrew Yang's freedom dividend.
Okay. I'm gonna go out and say that I will take the $17,000. I'm all DuckDuckGo, no Google for that check.
Uh, well, it would be for access to the internet, I think, not actually for using Google, the search
Oh.
engine.
Okay. All right.
So the second part is, would I take the $17,000 a year?
Yes. Would you?
And the answer is, drum roll,
Okay. Wait.
absolutely. I don't
Can I?
care.
Okay. I was gonna say. Can I preface this by saying that you work at Free Float Media, and you're not yet making a salary?
Well,
Sorry.
well, even when I was working at a company, being connected to the internet all the time is a lovely thing, but
Beautiful.
I would be just as happy to go to the store or the bank.
Wow.
I'm okay with
It's a,
that.
it's a
We're the
fulfilling
last of
life.
that generation, friend.
Yeah.
We are the generation that used coin-op payphones.
True. Yeah.
So saying like, do you want $17,000 a year to not be on the internet? Is like, I can listen to records instead. Fine, man.
Yeah.
I
It's like a
got all the
triple.
records.
It's a triple yes.
The
Um.
problem for this, for like someone age 25, is they have to actually go out and buy CDs again. How are they going to ever do that? It's not going to happen.
No. All right. Another big data news. It looks like that, Matt, your favorite cryptocurrency, Facebook's Libra, it appears to be imploding. So 1 week after PayPal jumped ship, we have word also that eBay, Visa, MasterCard, and Strip, which I've never heard of, have also bailed. And this all comes a week before Zuck is set to testify on the currency before Congress. So is this the death of Libra, Matt?
I tweeted this. I think
Yeah.
this is part of the master plan.
Okay, let's hear it.
The master plan is get all these people on board so you can make a big announcement.
Okay, I like
Have
it.
everybody jump ship before it actually happens because
Okay.
they're afraid of any implications of it.
Right.
Leaving only Mark Zuckerberg in charge of Libra in the end.
Yeah. Okay.
And still launch it. They're still going to launch it.
Okay. Yeah.
The win
And
here is
yeah.
fewer stakeholders, fewer governance, less governance.
Zuck is like collecting more of the funny money. Is that what you're saying?
I
And he has
think
complete control.
I think it's brilliant. I think
Okay.
he made something so palatable in theory and unpalatable in reality that
Right.
that he's going to be left alone, but they have enough money to launch it anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Why do they need those silly people?
What do we need? Yeah, what do we need these suckers for?
Yeah. And plus, they're gonna have their circle of trust is gonna be governing.
I did
right?
not put that graphic back up.
Yeah.
But
It's gonna be hovering over them, and
just
it's
to
gonna be
remind users,
awesome.
just to remind our non-listener listeners, our zero people, Mark Zuckerberg said it himself. The missing element from Facebook, there was governance hovering above, board governing thing. There was Facebook hovering below, and then all they had to insert the whole time was the bubble of trust.
I think I just wet myself. All right.
Hey,
Finally, in big data. Finally, in big data, I have to mention this because I love it. I need to mention that presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren is trolling Facebook's new election ad policy with a false ad that says that the company has endorsed Big Baby Trump. Of course, Zuck already knew this because he implanted her brain with the Brain Suck 8000 at the Tiburon conference. So there you go. This is the state of things.
I think we need to rename this Bigly Data.
Bigly Data?
Yeah.
Bigly Brain Suck 8000 Data. right.
Congratulations. And kudos to
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren for the first part of her troll and kind of laming out in the second part because she literally writes in the ad, Mark Zuckerberg endorsed Donald Trump. JK, JK. This is false.
Yeah, it's like this new stupid trend of releasing like outlandish news releases on April 1st, right? Like
Yeah, come
we're
on.
gonna think that
Just
they're come on.
just go with the straight up ad that says Mark
Yeah.
Zuckerberg endorsed Donald Trump.
Yes. All right, let's jump into our big frothy steaming pile of biz nuggets.
Mmm.
Cue the biz nuggets theme music.
Dun dun
Oh,
dun dun dun.
they all sound the same. Terrible. All right, I'm gonna go through these quickly today. I'm gonna start the clock on biz nuggets. A new report says that smart TVs are data collecting machines. Matt,
All
surprised?
I mean, a
Loving
big
it?
duh, but I'm glad
Big
to know
duh.
that my TV is watching me as I watch it. Feels much
uh,
more mutual now.
Speaking of watching, number two, Amazon workers may be watching your cloud cam home footage. In order to improve AI algorithms to do a better job distinguishing such things as a real threat from a home invader
Mhm.
and a false alarm from the kitty cat jumping on the sofa.
Can can I just end run this?
Yeah.
Because this is where all AI ends up because it's mostly dominated by white male programmers. Black people will be threats.
Yeah. I don't want to. I hate to.
I'm
I
just
hate to
I'm
agree
just
with that,
saying.
but
I'm
you're
glad
right.
that my TV is watching me watching it. And
Yeah.
now I can be glad that Amazon is watching me watch my TV as it watches me, determining whether or not there are any black people in the room that could be threatening, because that is the end result of their AI program. It's
Yeah.
just it's gonna go racist. That's my guess.
Yeah, there was this chilling story out of Fort Worth, Texas this weekend where the cops were called. I don't even know why they were called in the first place, but this
The
woman was
door was
playing.
ajar.
The door was ajar, and the woman was playing video games with her nephew in the middle of the night, and the police officer shot her dead from outside the
Took
house.
4 seconds for them to do it.
Crazy.
And
Um, yeah.
if the TV was watching her to determine threats, would it have determined that the police officer outside the window yelling at her for having a door ajar and shooting in 4 seconds, were they a threat?
Well, I think you're right. I think the color of her skin. Yeah, I think that they would pick her up as a threat. I
She
mean,
would have been
I
a
think.
threatening figure playing that PlayStation.
Yeah. All right. The third business nugget today is there's a headline. According to Credit Suisse, having more female leaders may boost companies' share price performance. Yes, it is 2019, and we're still trying to justify hiring female executives with boring business reasons. And yes, I'm talking to you, Kenny Fisher. Matt, honestly, I think
We
it's time
did
to.
the research on this
Yeah.
years ago. Can
Yeah.
I quote a Damian Rollis right now?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
That women on boards tend to be more educated than their male counterparts writ large. We know they're more experienced. We know they're better at their jobs. We know that they're risk adjusted. Can we just say that women are people and they should be on boards? Can we just
Uh, yeah.
all done?
Yes. I mean, honestly, like I really think it's time. I know these are well-intentioned researchers and whatever, but I just think it's like a time to put a moratorium on crap like this. It's like unintentionally demeaning something that's just right. I mean, how about we just put out a report that says because you idiot? How about that? Really? I mean, it's like what are we doing? It's enough. It's enough. Finally,
I just want
one
to
more biz nugget.
interject.
Yeah,
Just want to
yeah, go.
interject. Coming on freefloatmedia.com soon, the research report about
Yeah,
women and their power in the markets and in business. It's Because You Idiot is the title.
yeah,
Coming soon.
yeah. The subtitle is "Man Discovers Woman has Brain." Um, Okay, finally, our last business nugget today is we have to do a big huzzah to AT&T for raising its prices by 7% to make its customers pay its own property taxes. So they're raising prices so that customers pay AT&T's property taxes. That's beautiful, AT&T.
Why would they announce that that's why?
That's a great question. I think that it's just I don't know, it's a stupefied audience that doesn't care anymore.
It's
It's a
mind bending.
great question. Yeah. All right. Let's jump into your ball
But
pit
now
today,
we
Matt.
can say like a local resident at a what is it, the town council meeting, the educational town council meeting. Now we
Right.
can say we pay your taxes, AT&T,
Yeah.
as we yell at
So
them and fire
as
them.
and what happens? Yeah. What's going to happen after we yell that? They're going to be like, thanks.
You do.
Yeah.
That's what
All
they're
right.
gonna say.
Let's jump into your ball pit, Mac. Get in there.
All right, here's a quick one. I just
Yep.
wanted to know, because it's a Monday and it's a holiday, I wanted to know whether or not company controversies, like when you see negative shit about a company,
Yeah.
what day do you usually see it? Because there's this myth of like the Friday news dump, right?
Oh, okay. I was going to guess Friday. Yeah.
That would be the guess.
Yeah.
Turns out it's not actually Friday.
Okay. What day is it?
According to data, and I went through over 12,000 controversies over the
Huh?
last 3 years,
Yep.
the
Free float
number
media
one
at work. Yep. Go
the
ahead.
number one day for controversies to get caught by the news
Yeah.
media globally is
Uh-huh.
Thursdays.
Okay.
So maybe what's happening is on Thursday night they release it, and then it's Friday and no one
They're at
cares.
they're at the beach or something.
But I wanted
They're
to
at the
confirm that this is actually true, because this is just a pure absolute number, right? Like 2,000 controversies on Thursdays, and it's not so different from Tuesdays or Saturdays or Wednesdays. You're actually, there's a pretty egalitarian market for shitty news about companies.
right.
It's almost 7 days a week, with the exception of poor old Sunday, where no one apparently pays attention to the news at all.
Okay.
Mostly because they're watching the NFL, people get
Right.
concussed. But
Yeah.
when I went back through the data and I said, well, what happens if I look at the severity of the controversy? Like it's a big deal or it's a little deal. What days do companies announce big deals?
Like so. Okay. Which days do they announce their most heinous controversy? Is that what you're saying?
Their most heinous controversies are announced on the day you are watching people get concussed voluntarily.
Is that right?
Sundays, almost 10%. And
Right.
so there's a scoring system here that I'm using, and the scoring system suggests that almost 10% of controversial business activity, the worst of it, is released or caught on a Sunday.
So it's like post church guilt,
I
or
don't.
is it like buried treasures?
I think it's burying the. I think it's while you're at church.
Yeah.
P.S. We killed 300 people today. Moving on. I think that's what's happening. So
That's a great nugget you got there.
So
That's a great ball.
This is the takeaway. This is the
Yeah.
takeaway from my ball pit.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Don't turn
Anything
off
else?
your news on Sunday,
No.
because it's still happening.
So I think what you're basically saying is that if you're not a slack-jawed idiot watching football, you're gonna know stuff about the world.
Well, I am a slack-jawed idiot, and I watch
Yes.
football
Yes.
occasionally, and I know
Yes.
nothing.
Okay. Well, that's Business Pants for you today. October 14th, a Monday. We will see you tomorrow at lunch.
Let's turn on our outro music. Dun, 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 dun. Thanks, Damien.